Mandatory minicamp starts tomorrow. It's a 3-day deal. Back in the day when Amon and I played, this was the last minicamp. Usually ended June 17th, June 16th. It was 8 days, so it was a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Usually get the Friday off. They take us paintballing or something. It was awesome. Mike Sherman took us paintballing one year, took us golfing one year with open bar. That was interesting as well. I think by open bar, I mean Flanagan and I stopped at the 7-Eleven down the street and made sure it was open bar for everybody. Anyhow, then we went Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday the next week. And I think we got to leave early on Thursday, didn't have the last Friday, but then you're gone until training camp, which usually starts the end of July. So the question of the day is, after you get this 3-day camp over, what do you do to fill that void? What should these guys be doing? If you're a Packers fan, if you're a player, let's say, and you've now got, gosh, what is this? At least a month off, maybe a little bit more than a month off, 5 weeks off. This is always a good time, in my opinion, to recharge the batteries, get as much family time as you can, maybe take a short vacation. If you're married, if you have kids, do something that they want to do, because you know that 7 days a week for the next 6-7 months, it's going to be all about how to maximize your effectiveness at doing your specific job. That's going to take precedence over a lot of things that also happen in the family. So I think number one is recognizing that you have a lot of people that love you in your life and support you. And so you need to show that support back and do as much and help as much as you can. This is also an incredible time to take stock of where you're at based on OTAs and mini camps. See where you can get maybe some specific areas you can get better at technically. Maybe you need to get in better shape. Maybe you need to get a little bit stronger. Maybe you need to, kind of reproportion your body from a body fat standpoint or a muscle mass standpoint. And you still have an entire training cycle to do that over the next couple of weeks. And what happens generally is you go hard, you're training, you go through the 4th of July, and then after the 4th of July, that kind of flipped the switch. And we used to start training. So we'd start doing training. Everything would be on time. So we would train over the course of we do training in terms of like series. So we would go, maybe heavy singles, maybe a set of 5 or 6 heavy singles, but we would take 20 seconds break in between each single. So let's say you had 3 sets of 6 singles. So you lift it up off the rack, press it, whatever you're doing, pull it, put it back on the rack, rest for 20. We're talking 85, 90%, 95% of your 1 rep max. And you're trying to do this because you want to get that max exertion and then take that small break, exactly what you do when you're playing football. So little details like that start helping you out. But really, it's about getting your mind right, getting ready for what's coming, getting ready to be the best version of yourself for this team so you can perform at the highest level for whatever reason, underlying reason you do that for. Ultimately, it's to make the Green Bay Packers go as far as they can go, for talking specifically about the Wisconsin football team. One of the friends of the show, AJ Dillon, made an interesting statement yesterday, coming off 2 years ago, coming off a kind of a breakout. So, he started at third string, I think, when he came in from Boston College as a rookie, then had a really good season. Him and Aaron Jones became kind of the 1-2 punch, him being obviously the 250-pound, battering ram. And as it got colder, as the season went on, really, I think, did a good job of playing behind his pads. And then last year came, and the numbers were kind of similar. We thought we were going to see a little bit bump in production, maybe not the season that he wanted, certainly not a bad season. And I think he's got a really high ceiling as far as what he's able to do in this league on a yards per carry. He's not going to be a breakout runner. He's not going to get you a 50-yard run. He's not a home run hitter, but he could be easily a 5.1, 5.2 yards per carry kind of guy over the course of the next couple of years while he's still young and healthy. So he said he was a little bit tight last year. And I think a lot of that has to do with the economics of the sport and understanding kind of where you sit on the ladder as far as what teams, when a team's going to ask you to contract renegotiation, when they're going to re-up you, what's that look like? What's the market for the running back look like? And so you think about the mentality of let's just talk about generally, we can talk about the running back position or anybody, but generally the mentality of contract guys in their contract year. Like, what should you be thinking about? Because it's easy for us to say, like, just worry about playing on the field and it'll take care of itself. And I was part of multiple contract years. That's true. That's what you have to do. but you're also kind of taking stock of what's going on. And we talk about AJ specifically. He loves Green Bay. He wants to be a Green Bay Packer for life. And I commend him for that, because I think being part of one community for the entire length of your career is something that, looking back, I would have loved to do. And I think a lot of players would, if they have their choice, they would like to get drafted and retire with the same franchise. But you have to start asking these questions. Number one, are you appreciated? Do they appreciate the value that you bring to the team? Is the value that you bring to the team on par with your perception of it? Is it on par with their perception of it? And if the answer is yes, are they demonstrating that? We see the Saquon Barkley right now. Are they demonstrating that through the contract that they're offering you, or the communication that you're having? Are they going radio silence? And this might be a personal style of Goody or whoever the general manager is, but are they reaching out and communicating? Hey, listen, you're our guy. We want you here. Here's the sequence of events that have to happen before we re-up you. Here's what we need to see. Here's what we need to see from this other player. We have to get this other guy done. Here's a priority list. But are they communicating and being transparent with you? Is in the case of running backs, because the running back market is a little bit wonky right now, as far as I think it's being greatly devalued compared to some of the other positions, because of kind of the shelf life of an elite level running back. Is the money going to be that different somewhere else that it's going to change your life? Not, are you going to make an extra $400,000 or $500,000 a year over the course of 3 years? Are you going to make an extra $1 million? Are you going to make an extra $5 million a year? Are you going to make an extra $10 million or $10 million total over the course of the contract? Like, what if it's life-changing money? That has to come into the equation. Like, you can only love a place enough if they're not willing to pay you what somebody else is willing to pay you, given that you're probably going to get overpaid in the free agency market. And that's probably more than the home team's willing to pay. But how much more? Like, how much difference? And then you go, how much difference does that make in my life? Knowing where I'm at now and what I want to do over the course of the next 80 years, what would I rather be? A Green Bay Packer for life, or I want to go play for a bad franchise and make an extra $5 million? And then the last thing you got to look at, and honestly, and this just depends on, how you think of yourself and how you think of your value for the team. Sorry for the camera here, guys. But what does that team look like? What does the team look like? And I think for the Packers, everything looks like it's going to be better in 5 years or 3 years or 2 years from now than it does right now. But what does that team look like? Does this look like a team that's going in the direction that's going to help you be the best version of yourself and allow you to be put in positions to help this team win whatever your goal is as a team, as an organization? And honestly, not a lot of franchises are like that for specific players. There's a handful of guys in the league that are going to be successful wherever they go, and they usually play positions that aren't as dependent on other people. But, Saquon Barkley can go to any team. He's going to be a good running back. Dalvin Cook just got released from the Vikings. Anywhere he goes, he's going to be good. But he can be better with good offensive line. He can be better with a team that likes to run the ball. He can be better with somebody with a competent quarterback that's good at play action. Like, he's going to be, I don't know, a yard per carry better in the right situation. Yard per carry is the difference between an average player, an all-pro, and a Hall of Famer. Like 3, 4, 5 right there. That's your game. So those are things you want to think about.